first story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my brother he got exactly what he deserved when he pushed his girlfriend away for being a gold digger? My brother is a very hardworking man, and at 27, he is now very wealthy and doing well for himself. He's been with his girlfriend for 6 months, and throughout the time, we have gotten close because we both like hair, makeup, and shopping. I never knew there was anything wrong with their relationship, except when she texted me last week saying she would love to hang out, but thinks it'll be inappropriate because her and my brother broke up. I asked her why, and she said she was sick and tired of auditioning to prove she was with him for the right reasons. She went on to say that my brother is paranoid she's after his money, so he would test her like 1. Leaving out his bank statements on their bed and getting upset when she picked it up. 2. Going out to eat at high-end restaurants he requested and leaving his wallet at home at purpose to make her pay the bill and prove she's not going out with him for money. 3. Never buying her gifts and questioning her when she asks why he doesn't. I was so shocked, so I had to hear my brother's perspective. We spoke, and he told me everything she said was true and that there's nothing wrong with making sure his girlfriend is with him for the right reasons. He said he left his bank statements on the bed and was peeking through the door to see if she would be curious, and when he saw her pick up the papers, he knew in his gut she was using him for his money. So he set up the restaurant idea to see if she would get upset at paying a $500 bill, which she was. I asked him if he thinks her being an elementary school teacher could have contributed to her being upset at a $500 bill at the restaurant he wanted to go to, and he said no. He said the straw that broke was when she asked him why he hasn't bought her a single gift since they've started dating, when she bought him a gaming console and new rims for his car, and he knew she was just discreetly asking him to buy her an expensive gift. He confronted her and said he thinks she's with him for his money, so she said, "Let me do us both a favor," and dumped him and blocked him. He's upset about the gold-digging witch, and when I laughed, he called me an a-hole. He said I would never understand what it's like being a rich man and being used, and I get that concern, but I told him if he thinks any woman will be okay with his tests and auditions, he's delusional as hell. If he doesn't want to be used for his money, he should start dating people as wealthy as him, or leave lower-income people alone if he's not going to be genuine in his relationships unless they pass his test. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Sounds like you told your brother the truth. He sounds immature and testing a partner never turns out well. He said it's impossible to find a woman as wealthy as him, so he's forced to date middle and lower class women. So he's still going to continue his tests. I told him he should go to therapy, and he said I'm crazy. Your brother knows there are such things as prenups, yeah? Also, while I'm by no means wealthy, I do alright for myself, as I am sure is the case for many on here. I will say if I were invited to be treated at an expensive restaurant and be stuck with a $500 bill as a test, I would be massively blasted and would end a relationship. There's no way I would have paid a bill on a teacher's salary. I would have left his butt right then. He goes after lower to middle class women because it feels like he has an advantage over them. He likes the power. Seriously, he enjoys feeling superior and making them jump through hoops. Not the a-hole, OP. Also, dump your brother and stays friends with the ex. Only a-hole here is the brother. Also, where does she teach that she can afford game consoles, rims, and $500 dinners? Clearly, she's really responsible with her money, something you'd think the brother would appreciate if he weren't such a shallow a-hat. She told me she dipped into her savings for all that, and not her salary, which is sad because she still has student loans and credit cards she's paying off. Not gonna lie, I've dated men like this, and a girlfriend is better off without this minefield of mind games. She's clearly too good for him. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for only taking care of my wife and ignoring our roommate? My wife and I live in a house with a mother-in-law apartment over the garage. We got gifted a house from her uncle, and we use it for both a house and for work/side projects. So, when we were going to rent out the mother-in-law apartment, it made sense to rent to an artist. Our roommate is a very intense woman all of the time. She's almost a caricature of a man-hating feminist. I hate using that term as an insult because I believe in equality, but it's the most concise way to explain this woman. This woman hates the entire world, but especially me. She has tried to explain to my wife that I'm evil because of an entire laundry list of assumptions about me. I've heard her go on rants when she's outside about men and everyone she views as the enemy though. So I'm just a more available target. I don't like her. She stresses me out every time I have to talk to her, and I wish she would leave. But evicting her isn't an option for multiple practical and legal reasons. My wife and I both have histories of trauma, but 2020 has been harder on her. She's often afraid to go in public, so I have been doing most of the errands and taking care of her a lot more. The roommate has caught onto this and has decided that I owe her the same care because she has taken to cornering me all around the small yard to demand to know why I refuse to give aid to a high-risk member of my household and that I have to help her because I am clearly able and owe her. She has made multiple videos accusing me of discriminating against her for being a single woman artist and wanting her to ration food and starve by forcing her into the world when it's too dangerous. I don't care about her Twitter followers, but I am concerned that maybe I need to do something to help. It does look like she's losing weight and has been out a lot less, but I really can't swallow helping someone for free that is constantly mean to me and shoving phone cameras in my face to try to film a staged argument to try to get some kind of internet fame. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. For goodness sake. She's not a part of your family. You're the landlord and she's your tenant. Unless it's in the lease that you'll provide these things. Tell her to pound sand. That's the only obligation you have to her, whatever's in that document. She's not a part of your family. She has no right whatsoever to demand that you care for her. She sounds like a horrible woman. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole, OP. I don't fully know your circumstances or where you are, but if she's dumb enough to keep an online record of her harassing you, because that's what it is, then depending on the level of those, your state laws about recording and consent, etc., you may very well have the ability to file for a restraining order, which could possibly yeet her tenant's rights straight out the window. I know you said it isn't an option, but put in writing to her that you do not give her your consent to appear in her videos. And just speak with a lawyer if you can to see what your options are. If you're in somewhere like California, she's breaking the law. If she's video recording him within their home without his consent, that is likely illegal as well. Awesome point. I agree to get her out. This can't be good for his wife either. It's in the yard. She doesn't have access to the main house. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my mom's new husband I don't want the responsibility of being his kid's big sister? My, 16 female, mom got married in January. My mom's husband has 2 kids. His son is 7 and his daughter is 5. My mom's husband has wanted me to be their big sister, but I have mostly done my own thing since they got married. It's not that I'm not happy for my mom. I am. She has been alone since my dad died when I was 5, and it was just the 2 of us through my childhood. So I am happy for her. I'm just not totally into the idea of us, the whole big happy blended family, where there's no step or half, or anything before the titles of mom/dad/siblings. My mom's husband and I have butted heads a lot over this. The stay-at-home order was tough because his kids wanted me to do everything with them. He wanted me to do their school from home with them, and he wanted me to play with them and come up with fun things for us to do together. And I just want to focus on my work and talk to my friends online and via games since I couldn't see them for months. He didn't like that at all, and it made things tense. I sat with his kids sometimes, but I couldn't get away from them and didn't want to spend my free time with them or my study time. The other week, we had a blow-up about the whole thing. His kids are back in school. I'm doing distance learning, so they are around less, and I'm able to see my friends outside, and he doesn't like that I'm spending no time with his kids. He said I'm supposed to be their big sister, and I told him I didn't want that responsibility, that I didn't sign up for having my free time taken over by his kids. My mom said she gets it, but it wouldn't hurt to try a little more with them and be the sister they're crying out for. She said it would mean a lot to her, but if I can't, I can't. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I told him I didn't want that responsibility, that I didn't sign up for having my free time taken over by his kids. Damn straight. He wanted me to do their school from home with them, and he wanted me to play with them and come up with fun things for us to do together. Sounds more like he wants a free babysitter. Why would you have been doing their school from home with them when you had your own work to do? My mom said she gets it, but it wouldn't hurt to try a little more with them and be the sister they're crying out for. She said it would mean a lot to her, but if I can't, I can't. Listen, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be nice to them or interact with them at mealtimes, etc. But beyond that, you have your own life, and a 16-year-old is not typically going to want to hang out with a 5- and 7-year-old more than with their own similarly aged friends. The step aspect of it doesn't even come into it. If your mom's husband wants to force you to spend your time with them, he can ask you to babysit, paid, and if you want to do it, then you can. Your time is your own. Exactly what I was going to say. Even if they were your 100% bio siblings, you still wouldn't want to hang out with them. Not the a-hole. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for locking my wife out of my accounts? Am I the a-hole for never giving my wife access to my bank account again? The last year has been real hell for me. Deaths in the family, medical issues, emergency surgeries, and of course, money issues. Through all of it, the only constant is my wife's spending. I go in for treatment. Because of this, I cannot work, so I tell her we need to budget. She says she understands, but within 3 months, I am looking for financial help because she kept buying whatever she wanted at the time. We get a bit of holiday money and we agree to not spend it all. While I was in treatment, she spent it all. We get tax refund. Within 3 months, that's gone. I cash in a long-term investment to clear out all debts and give us a cushion that should have lasted indefinitely. That lasted 5 months. In the last month, disability gave her a total of $1,800 in payments. Even though she pays no bills, it's already gone. For your information, I have no access to her accounts. The only reason she does not have access to mine at this time is because I've been garnished twice for her old debts. So I took her name off to avoid it again. Update info. Some posters have asked about food costs and such. The funds she gets every month are not used for any food shopping initially. Because of my current condition and the situation we are in, we get a benefit until things clear up. This is where most of our food needs are met. But the number of times I have had to cover extra costs because the benefit has been used up, as well as her own funds, has become almost common. And yes, she knows how upset this makes me. I have literally looked at her and told her just how broke we are because of her mishandling of her accounts. The shock on her face is real as the reality of what she had done hits her. I can recall a few times I had to explain to her that she had spent all our extra funds within 1 to 2 weeks of getting them. This impact just does not last. Divorce is not on the menu, at least not yet. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. This sounds awful. She needs to learn not to spend money and budget. If she can go through that much money with no bills, it's extremely concerning. I wouldn't let her in my account either. Maybe start having her itemize what she buys and explain to you in detail why she absolutely needs that item and why she couldn't live without it. Maybe that will help her realize her spending is affecting the household funds. I wouldn't even give her an allowance, to be honest. If she doesn't have any bills, then she can get a part-time job. If she wants to continue spending, she can work for it. This doesn't work. It's seen as controlling, abusive, and holding money over your partner, regardless of how much is wasted or how much it hurts watching your savings and sacrifice disappear in takeaways and coffee. Source now to income broke husband. Not the a-hole. Reconsider your marriage. This woman will financially ruin you. I see a divorce in your future, OP, and I don't think that's a bad thing. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe. Family drama. First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for giving the entire inheritance to my twin brother? So I, 30 female, made money young. I dropped out of college to model, then started my own business and made some smart decisions with stocks. So I have quite a bit of money saved. My own property owned free and clear. Just pay utilities. And a couple cars. I am single and childless. Growing up, I was very close with my twin, 30 male, but not so much with my other siblings, also twins, 28 female. Basically, they were favored quite a bit by my parents. I took care of myself starting in high school, and so did my twin. He paid his own way through college with no parental help, while I built my own business also on my own. Our younger siblings did not. Our parents bought them cars in high school, paid 100% of their tuition and living expenses in college, and supported them in starting their adult lives. Both my sisters ended up in bad relationships, where they had kids that the fathers eventually had nothing to do with. My parents have always given them plenty of money and support. I just got diagnosed with a terminal brain tumor. It's inoperable and I'm going to die within 6 months. I have made my peace with it. I opted to leave everything to my brother in my will. That was so he can pay off his student loans and have a vehicle and home free and clear. I want to know he has a good life while I'm gone. My parents and sisters found out that I'm leaving everything to him and flipped out. They accused me of favoritism and being a bad daughter, aunt, and sister. They said my parents deserved money for raising me, and that my nieces and nephews deserved money for future expenses, since their mothers couldn't afford things like cars and college. Even my grandma and my uncle's wife, who I barely see, messaged me on Facebook to tell me how selfish I'm being. I blocked all of them in Facebook and told my brother I only wanted him to be at my bedside while I died. Am I the a-hole for giving my inheritance solely to my brother and for cutting my family off? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, but maybe see a solicitor to make sure your will is incontestable. You don't want your poor brother trying to mourn you, while a bunch of vultures steal everything not nailed down or specified in the will. I am sorry for your situation, and I hope that you have only the people who love you around you for your remaining time. I just want to tack on this comment to make sure it's documented that you were of sound mind when you made your will. My family contested a will by saying our relative with brain cancer wasn't capable of making big decisions. They said my family member's brain tumor was affecting their ability to make decisions. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. It's your money, your choice. Your brother may decide to help out your nieces, but that's his choice and not theirs. I would talk with your brother though, because I'd be worried your family will try and gaslight him into giving them a portion of the inheritance. I hope, for your sake, this can be sorted out and you can get some peace. Edit, I'd leave them each $1, so they can't contest the will. I don't know where the OP is, but in the UK, the other siblings would have a legal right to contest the will, even if they're only left £1. When I made my will a few months ago, I left smaller amounts to some family members than to others. I also wrote an open letter that was also witnessed alongside a will, explaining my reasons for the decisions I made, so that if the family members do contest the will, the judge has all the relevant information to help them make the decision on whether I was being reasonable or not. Not the a-hole. It's your money. I'd go over with an inheritance lawyer to close any loopholes that the family could take. Make sure you tell him not to let family members coax or scam him into giving them money. Example, pretending to love him / be friends after his death because he got money. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my sister out of my home before she could eat? I will set the stage. The other weekend, my boyfriend and I hosted our family for the first time since we moved in together. This included my boyfriend's parents, grandparents, his mom's parents he grew up with, and his brother, my parents, and younger brother and sister. My sister is 18. When she was 7, she got really sick, and afterward my parents refused to acknowledge any bad behavior, and this sent her out of control. She is demanding, spoiled, and selfish, and has never apologized for anything she did in her entire life since that day. It always drove me crazy. My brother gets annoyed sometimes, but they were close in age and had more fun with it. I was the grumpy older sister who had to deal with her crap more. So the other weekend, they were all here, and she was going through our stuff. My boyfriend asked her to stop, and she didn't. I made her stop, and she was bitching about it. Then, she started asking really intrusive questions to my boyfriend's parents about why they let his grandparents live with them. Right before dinner, she said she wanted pizza, not whatever crap I had made. My boyfriend told her we weren't ordering pizza just for her, and she said she didn't want to eat my crap. I was so tired of her disrespect that I told her to get out of my house. She was shocked I kicked her out and thought I was joking, but I told her she was not welcome in my home if she was going to disrespect me like that. My parents are pissed I would kick her out in front of other company. I told them I was tired of the disrespect and she was acting like a child. They said I shouldn't have been bullying her. My sister is pissed that I would kick her out before she could eat, but she made it clear she wasn't going to eat what I prepared, and we were not willing to pay for her to get takeout. Am I the a-hole here? Should I have said nothing while my boyfriend's family was there? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She goes through life thinking, who's gonna check me, boo? The answer is life. Life is going to check her. You just gave her the preview. Not the a-hole. Family or not, that's your and your boyfriend's home. If someone is disrespecting either of you, your home or your guest, you have every right to kick them out. In my opinion, you should have kicked your parents out too. Looking back, you're right. Also, as boyfriend's family, I would have been side-eyeing Opie if she hadn't put up more of a stink with the sister being so nosy about boyfriend's family life. Not the a-hole. Your sister sounds awful, and well done for standing up to her. Your boyfriend and his family will likely think better of you for doing so. Generally, she's annoying more than anything, but she crosses the line far too often for me. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for taking back my nephew's Christmas present and giving it to my son? My sister and I have always had a strained relationship. I usually just let things go and try to keep the peace. We both have sons who are around the same age. My nephew is 13 and my son just turned 11. For my son's birthday, I bought him the new gaming system he has been wanting. He was absolutely thrilled, and he plays nonstop. My sister is bad with money. I usually have to lend her money for bills and stuff for my nephew. I know my nephew doesn't always get the best Christmas gifts, so this year I went a little crazy, and I purchased the same gaming system for him for Christmas. I already had it ready and wrapped under my tree. Yesterday, my sister's family came to visit. My son asked me if they could go play video games. I said yes, and reminded them to be careful. About 30 minutes later, my son comes running to me crying. I asked him what was wrong, and he led me to the front hall. When we get to the stairs, I see the new system smashed on the floor. Someone had thrown it from the upstairs, and it was now smashed to pieces. I asked my son what happened, and he sobbed and pointed at his cousin. I asked my nephew if he did this, and he started to laugh. He said it was a stupid baby toy, and that is how people break them online. My sister came in, and I told her what happened. I explained that this was an expensive system, and that her son needs to be disciplined for what he did. I told her I wanted her to pay for what her son broke. She laughed and said no. She says I shouldn't have let them play unsupervised, that it was my fault, and that I am a bad parent. She said my son will get over it, and that it was not important. Seeing my son sitting on the ground next to his broken system trying to put the pieces back together tore my heart out. I walked over to the Christmas tree and grabbed the system that was meant for my nephew. I pulled the gift wrap off and gave it to son and told him to go upstairs and set it up. My sister asked me why I was making such a big deal when I had another one already. I then laughed and told her that was her son's Christmas gift. That since it wasn't important and it was just a stupid baby toy, then they obviously won't miss it. I then told them to leave. My nephew realized what happened and began to cry, that my son had stolen his system. I said no, his was the one that he smashed. My sister was livid and told me that I will never see them again. I just said okay and slammed the door. Other family members have now been calling me nonstop and saying I am an a-hole and that I ruined my nephew's Christmas. I don't think so though. My nephew is 13. He is not a stupid kid, and he knew what he was doing. I don't care that it was over jealousy. He is old enough to know better. My sister was not going to make the situation right, so I just did what I had to do. They all think I should buy another new system for him, but I don't have that kind of money. I'm starting to feel bad about this, and I am wondering am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your sister's terrible parenting ruined her kid's Christmas. Your nephew's jealousy ruined his own Christmas. It's entirely possible that your sister has spun a lie to the extended family, so be sure the flying monkeys have the full story in your responses to them. What part of my nephew deliberately smashing my son's console, telling us he'd seen it done online, and insulting the gaming system is acceptable in your eyes? How is my sister refusing to take responsibility for the damage or for not disciplining her son acceptable in your eyes? I bought 2 consoles. My nephew deliberately smashed one. I won't be buying a third. If you think that sort of behavior deserves to be rewarded, feel free to buy a console for nephew yourself. That's a great response. I might just use that. I think she's telling our family a lie about what happened to make herself the victim. She is kind of known for this kind of thing. Not the a-hole. Your sister just disrespected you and your child and doesn't care enough to discipline hers. Her son will grow up to be an entitled jerk. You did nothing wrong. Just taught them a lesson that I hope they learn. Probably won't, though. My nephew isn't a terrible kid all the time, but he has some serious rage issues. My sister refuses to listen to reason and won't get him help. The school board even tried to step in, but now she has homeschools him instead. Not the a-hole. Do not buy this kid anything. He is 13 years old and knows right from wrong. And if he doesn't, this is his first lesson. Actions have consequences. I guess that's true. I don't like to parent other people's children, but my sister was not taking it seriously at all. She told me just to take my son to McDonald's for dinner and that he will forget. Yeah, that sure will make him forget about his brand new smashed console. Now, for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my ex to get over herself and shut the hell up after she got mad at my son for not being in the room for his wife's labor? When my wife got pregnant, I dumped her because she admitted to baby trapping me. We've had split custody of our son from the day he was born to the day he turned 18, when he then stayed with me full-time as his choice. In 2017, my son married his high school sweetheart, and about 4 months ago, they decided to have a child. She recently decided that she wanted her mom in the room during her labor, and everyone was perfectly fine with this, except for my ex-wife. She claimed that he is the father of his child, needs to be more realistic, and be there for his wife during her time of need. We all just told her to stop because she didn't get to make that choice. He was fine with it, and it's what his wife wanted, so my ex should not get an opinion on that matter. Well, this went on for about 2 weeks, and yesterday, I had enough. We were all over there discussing a gender reveal. Nothing big, they were just going to have a friend make a cake. It would just be family. She brought up the issue with the delivery room, and I got really annoyed. I told her that she needed to shut the hell up and get over herself, because it wasn't her child, and she didn't get to make that choice. She got really upset and started wailing, so my son kicked her out. We went back to what we were doing, and my daughter-in-law actually thanked me for saying something, but I can't help but feel like I was too harsh. Am I in the wrong here? Now, for the top comments. Not the a-hole, but you should have known this the minute your son kicked her out and his wife thanked you. Not the a-hole. Whatever the woman pushing the baby out wants, the woman pushing the baby out gets. Especially since it was the ex-wife throwing a fit, not the son who's actually the father of the child. This sounds more like the ex-wife has a personal vendetta against the decision of the daughter-in-law. The son understands his wife's reasons, and that's all that matters. Not the a-hole. Your daughter-in-law picks whoever she wants in the delivery room. She picked her mom. Your son is fine with your daughter-in-law's choice. Your ex-wife couldn't take it. Her feelings got hurt, and she responded by wailing. Your delivery may have been a little harsh, but in the end, your daughter-in-law decides who is in the delivery room with her. She made her choice. End of story. Info. This is a genuine question. How does someone you'd already married to baby trap you? I thought that was something that only a horrible person who was a singleton would do to a partner who wouldn't commit. We were married under the agreement that we wouldn't have any children. I found out she was using me mainly for money inherited from my own parents, and I planned to leave her. But she had already ripped small holes into our protection. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe. First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not supporting my brother's wedding? We barely talk ever since he and his ex-wife, Dana, divorced 2 years ago. My wife and I sided with Dana because he'd left her for his mistress and didn't even try to fight for custody of my 2 nephews, 12 and 9. She's still like family to us, and we're more involved in her life than my brother's. He wasn't happy that we stopped inviting him to our home for get-togethers because we always invited Dana and the kids instead. There was a lot of family drama. My parents took his side over this, and we went low contact for a while. We only started seeing each other again a few months ago, but we aren't as close as we used to be. My brother has tried to talk to me more, but I'm only short and civil with him. It wasn't just the cheating that did it for me, it was also that he didn't care about being involved with his sons after they split. I heard he and the mistress are now engaged, and they plan to have the wedding sometime next year. To my surprise, my brother asked me if I could be his best man, since I did it before. He told me he understands we haven't been close in a while, but this is his wedding, and he wants us to get past everything and be brothers again. I asked him if his sons were also going to the wedding, and he was quiet for a few seconds before saying he hasn't talked to them in a long time. Didn't expect him to say yes, but I wanted to confirm for myself that he'd rather mend our relationship than the one he had with his kids. I told him he's my brother, and while I do love him, I will never support the treatment of his kids or this marriage when all it did was cause pain to 3 innocent parties we care about and love. My wife is on my side here, and I know there's no way I'll ever go. But it's hard to not feel like a jerk when my entire life, my family has ingrained that belief that loyalty to blood comes before everything, and we always support unconditionally. I know sometimes that's not a good way to think, and I've tried hard to detach myself from that belief. It's been harder now when my parents won't stop talking about it, and they can't believe after years, I still chose to hurt my brother when all he wants is happiness. Yes, they're a bunch of hypocrites, but still, I can't get them out of my head. And a part of me does feel like the bad guy for not being supportive during what's supposed to be the happiest day of his life. Basically, the entire family is looking at me like a traitor, just like they did when they divorced. Now for the top comments. Not day-hole. It makes no sense to be best man at a marriage you don't support. And the whole thing about a blood relation being very important isn't true. Someone being blood related gives you no obligation to them if they're treated you or others horribly. As the saying goes, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. Which doesn't even really matter since your nephews are blood related anyway, so just leaving them is gross. My uncle did this to his 2 daughters, and my cousins grew up just hating him and having severe emotional issues. My mom basically had your attitude about it. My favorite part of all this BS is them saying nonsense like loyalty to blood when the kids are literally blood related to them. And even if they weren't, they're still his kids. All the brother wants is happiness, but clearly no one but Opie and his wife gives a damn about the kids or their mother's happiness and well-being. Not day-hall, of course. Not day-hall. Loyalty to blood? You're being loyal to your blood, nephews, and their screwed-over mother. I'm sorry for all involved that this has happened, but you have every right not to be there for your brother. Yep, agreed, not day-hall. Brothers are blood, but his children aren't his blood? WTF? Good on you and your wife for supporting the kids, who are completely innocent. Except for when it comes to his own sons? Perhaps they should try a different angle on the guilt tactic. Not the a-hole. If you want to be involved in the wedding somehow to work towards mending things, offer perhaps to attend as a regular guest, or send a present if you don't want to go but still desire a gesture. Yes, that's where I point out the hypocrisy in their statement. But to them, it's that they're still supporting him unconditionally despite his own flaws. And no, I don't want to be involved in his wedding. Like I said, I don't support it, or his marriage. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not supporting my cousin's relationship? My younger cousin, 23 female, and I, 27 female, have been super close since she turned 16. We did most things together, and she even lived with me for a bit when she turned 18. It's been great, and I even see her as more of a little sister than a cousin. From ages 13 to 25, I dated and was engaged to Mark, 27 male. My cousin knew him well. When I turned 25, Mark and I had a serious discussion about marriage and children and ended up breaking up. He had lied to me our entire adult relationship about wanting marriage and kids. It killed me. My cousin was there for me the entire time. You can probably see where this is going. A month ago, my cousin announced she was pregnant and engaged. I was excited for her until I went over for a celebratory family cookout and met her newly moved-in fiancé. Guess who it was? Yep, it was Mark. My world came crashing down, and I just left. I didn't say anything. I just walked out. Family tried calling me. My cousin tried calling and texting me, but I didn't answer anyone. After about a week, I finally answered my cousin's call. She told me she needed me to be there for her, and she knew it was weird, but he was going to be family, and I should be happy for her. I told her I couldn't support any of this, and to please not contact me again. I now have family telling me what's done is done, and I need to get over it because cousin is getting married and having a baby. That I need to think of her, and that this is an exciting time for the family. I told everyone to F off, and if they support this, not to contact me again because family wouldn't do this to each other. They called me a witch and told me it's been 2 years, that no one owns a man, and I needed to shape up because this is happening. I blocked all of them. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Most definitely not the a-hole. What she did was terrible. She knew you all were together for all those years and broken up, and she still dated him. That's basically betraying you. I'm sorry you have to go through that. I'd bet it started before they broke up too. Went from girlfriend's cousin to baby mama really quick. And is nobody curious why these two were even in contact after the split? Especially if cousin was comforting OP. Honestly, the fact that they both knew about the relationship drama, got together so soon after your major breakup, and kept their relationship from you only to reveal it at a suitably dramatic moment in front of your entire family, makes me wonder if they didn't do this to you deliberately. If this is an exciting time for the family, how come you didn't hear a thing about your cousin's mysterious fiancé until she could spring this on you? Not the a-hole for going no contact after that. From what you say, it seems that Mark told you he didn't want children when you had been under the impression that he did? That he's celebrating his impending fatherhood as soon after he ended a long-term relationship over exactly that issue makes me wonder if he was already interested in your cousin and was lying to you in order to break your relationship off. I'm just an internet speculator, so take that with a grain of salt, but I've heard of scenarios like that before. Not the a-hole. Your cousin can marry whom she likes, but you don't have to be there for it. I'm sure it's tough on your family too, but it's disappointing that they are all siding with her, after you were in a relationship with this guy for 12 years, including engagement. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to show up to my, 22 male, dad's gay wedding? My parents were married for 27 years. My dad is 52 and my mom is 48. It was discovered about a year ago that my dad had been cheating on my mom for the last 4 years of their marriage with another man. My dad also had hooked up with numerous older men over the course of their marriage. My mom caught him in bed with his boyfriend. My dad said he was bi and they tried to work it through. It didn't work, as my dad was still sleeping with his now 24-year-old boyfriend on the side and admitted he was gay. When I found out, I cut my dad out of my life. Over the past year, I have let him back in. I love him, but I just can't get over what he did to my mom. He and his boyfriend have gotten engaged, and my dad wants me to be his best man. I can't bring myself to this. I feel like it'd be betrayal on some level. I told him this. He broke down. He apologized for what he did to me, my little sister, and my mom. He said that he didn't want to hurt anyone with his actions. He said that he told his parents about having feelings towards men when he was my age, and they flipped. They threw him out, trashed all of his belongings, and treated him like less than a person. That even his friends dropped him once it got out that he liked men. He said that he only felt like he had a normal life if he began dating and married a woman, and he did this with my mom. This story was heartbreaking, but I couldn't. I want to be empathetic, but I can't. He cheated on my mom for years and built a family with her knowing he wasn't into her. I told him I didn't care about all of that crap, and that I would never be his best man and wouldn't go to the wedding. After telling my dad this, I received a very angry call from his boyfriend telling me how I'm a monster and an awful son. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. If you take gender out of it, and your dad had a 24-year-old girlfriend that he cheated on your mom with, you'd still be justified in not wanting to be part of his wedding. Even the 24-year-old part would get me to not the a-hole without the cheating. Not the a-hole. You've mentioned nothing about him being gay being a part of your disdain. Sounds like you would have reacted exactly the same if it was a female he was cheating with. I feel like this is worse. The dad knew he wasn't into the mom from the beginning. He used her as a beard and effectively ruined her life. She could have gotten married to someone who actually loved her and not someone who used her to get accepted. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting my sister to be my maid of honor at my wedding or godmother to my baby? 4 years ago, my sister Izzy was catfishing a guy, James, with my pictures. This only came to light as she has been asking him to move to our area and James had done it, so she had to come clean. James and I were both there for this confession, and neither of us spoke to Izzy for a while after. 6 months later, I saw James again. We got to talking and exchanged numbers. It was just friendly at first, but over time, it grew into something more romantic. When we'd been together for about a year, we told Izzy, my brothers, and my divorced parents. Dad and brothers are happy I'm happy, but Izzy and Mom both flew off the handle. We've been together 3 years now. In this time, we have interacted mainly with Dad and brothers, and less so with Izzy and Mom. Izzy has had therapy and genuinely apologized to both of us, but the catfishing, plus her reaction to our relationship hasn't made a good relationship between all of us. James proposed early this year, and I accepted. We agreed on waiting to get married given everything going on, and then a month ago, we found out I'm pregnant. So the wedding is officially a solid 2 or 3 years away. Despite us telling Mom this, she's been calling me to talk about wedding ideas regularly. Mom called today, again, to talk about bridesmaids' dresses. During the conversation, she said that not only does she expect Izzy to be my maid of honor, but also godmother to the baby I'm carrying. Her reasons for this are that Izzy is my sister and planning on making me her maid of honor when she marries, and that Izzy is already godmother to my 8-year-old son. I expressed discomfort with both of those ideas, and Mom asked why. I told her that given everything with Izzy and James, I'm not sure this is the best idea. Mom then said that all of that was over 5 years ago. We said we'd forgiven her, and at some point, you have to let bygones be bygones, especially as we accepted her apology and she's gone to therapy. And if she hadn't gotten James to move here, then we never would have met at all, and the baby/marriage wouldn't be happening at all, and that she was ashamed of me for excluding my sister over the past. Izzy has since contacted me, agreeing with Mom that I'm being unnecessarily harsh and saying that she's apologized and it all worked out, and she's not sure what else she can do to get me to get over it. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Glad your sister is getting the help she clearly needs. Your mother is definitely the a-hole for trying to choose your bridesmaid and godmother for you, whether it is your sister or not. Even if you didn't have the history with your sister, it is always your choice. Not the a-hole, obviously. You don't even need a reason not to pick her as maid of honor. That is not a decision others can make for you, and not a decision you have to justify. Having said that, you have every reason not to want her as a maid of honor or godmother. They know full well why. I'm guessing the reason they are pressing this issue is that if they can force you into complying, they can feel like they've been absolved of their transgressions. My advice? Don't jade. Don't justify, argue, defend, or explain. Not the a-hole. Mom doesn't get a say in who will be maid of honor or godmother whatsoever. Izzy messed up royally and has to earn the trust she's so royally messed up to earn even an invite to the wedding. Considering how much Mom favors Izzy, might want to tell her if she doesn't change her tune, she and Izzy will not be invited. Your mom doesn't seem to care about boundaries whatsoever, and you have to make them abundantly clear. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.